Hello, and welcome back to the Elemental I Ching. And today we're looking at hexagram 6, or GK6, conflict as the shadow, diplomacy as the gift, and peace as the city, as the enlightened essence. And in the I Ching, this is called conflict in many interpretations, or the action of letting go into conflict, into the waters. It's been amazing walking through these archetypes through an elemental basis because it's kept me really grounded in the body, in the forces of nature. And this time of the water has been a roaring rapids of energies, of different energies. And as we worked through fire and water and this powerful transmutation and imagination that was happening, the rains have just come back here to Portland, Oregon, which is much needed for the wildfires here, as well as just to bring myself back home into the waters of life, into the waters of this next chapter of my being. And I read this beautiful quote from the Essential I Ching about the hexagram of conflict. That conflict offers an opportunity to reflect back those pieces of ourselves that we keep hidden. Conflict is the stirring up of nature. And if we choose to look at every relationship as a mirror, as an opportunity to see the parts of our own personality, the parts of our own conflict, inner conflict at work, instead of repressing or reacting, instead of going to cravings and aversions of trying to change the situation, to acknowledge that there's something in this conflict for us to examine, to awaken, to illuminate. So looking at the shadow of conflict, especially in relationships, but from that as a mirror of the inner conflict. It's the elements of the heaven, the creative heaven on the top trigram, and the waters as the lower earthly trigram. So this influence of conflict as entropy through our half-heartedness. Entropy, this stagnation, this decay that occurs when we're not living fully, when we're not giving ourselves completely devoted into that moment. So what are those addictive patterns that are being stirred up by external conflict? Where are those places of stagnancy and repetition that are like in a river, those moments where it gets stuck in its own eddy? And it's a part of the river. But what is it that needs some attention to let that keep flowing? Entropy is that fear of that nothingness, of that decay, of that destruction of life. And at its highest aspect, it's freshness, it's beauty, it's the creative essence, it's the pure yang element that emerges. So we're receiving from heaven this heavenly light, this creative essence, this spark to illuminate the places of our own half-heartedness, of our own addictive cycles, of our own trapped nature, trapped in these eddies, in these whirlpools. But in its gift, diplomacy is the fresh commitment to the moment. In every moment, we have the opportunity to bring fresh consciousness, to bring ourselves alive in this moment. And I feel like that's what diplomacy teaches me, is less about having the right thing to say, as much as just sitting in the discomfort, in the entropy, in the nothing, in the numbness, or in the decay, in the stagnation, long enough until the pure yang, the true essence, the true creation, emerges in its flow, in its divine flow with our devotion to this moment. So in conflicting situations, we can come to that space of deep fear, of something is not right. And instead of running from that conflict or rushing with swords drawn into that experience to try and fix and slay the dragon, there's this willingness to actually peer directly into the experience with fresh commitment. And the resources naturally flow from that commitment to the moment. There's this opportunity here to see what has been hidden, to reveal. And even when I feel like I'm not at fault, even when I feel calm and at peace, if conflict emerges, it's another doorway, it's another opportunity to face into that deeper part of myself. I feel that conflict, diplomacy isn't afraid of conflict. Conflict is a natural part of our human experience. It's why relationships can be this lightning path to opening our hearts and liberating our intention, because it doesn't allow us to stay stagnant in the places where I don't actually want to work on that part. But when I am confronted, well, now it's being forced to the surface, it's being stirred up. So diplomacy in this elementally Qing is also creating communication. It's not afraid of that conflict, so it actually can interact and dialogue with that dragon that is being asked to have its, to pay attention to this energy. And there's also this aspect of letting go into conflict. This ability to soften the edges. I had a beautiful experience the other day of actually being confronted in a situation and needing to be, it was an amazing opportunity for me to be very soft on the edges. Not compliant to just whatever reality is being written for me in someone's play of their experience, but to really, with freshness, look into the moment, into the light that's being illuminated in that moment, and receive the nutrients that are here to help me grow. Richard Rudd in this key, he talks in its highest form, he talks about drinking in light as a way to survive, as a way to thrive, as receiving the nutrients of life for our etheric body through light, through breathing in that light. So I take that into emotional healing here, of like, how can we, in a conflict, breathe in the light, drink in the light of that situation, to actually receive on a cellular level, what is the illumination? What is the present moment illuminating for me in this experience? How can I commit even deeper to love? How can I be of strong service in this rapid of devotion, but not stay stagnant in patterns that don't serve that real open-hearted flow? And what else can we learn about ourselves than through the harsh mirror of a conflicted situation? And maybe it's not only external with relationships. Today, as beautiful as it was that the rains came, one of the conflicts in my life was also finding a leak in my basement. Here it is. The waters are illuminating places of where the container's not being held. It's bringing up hidden qualities that I know that this basement is going to take some diligent work in my life, but it brought it to the surface. It didn't let that stay stagnant. It's important that it was illuminated. And water has that magical capacity. It's going to go to places of least resistance, and it's going to pool and gather and stagnate in places that aren't in true flow. So my half-heartedness was being illuminated by a conflict, external, but it reveals all these inner conflicts of myself. What am I pushing down? Where am I keeping myself stagnant in patterns and in addictive situations? And actually, it's asking for this, diplomacy is the emotional maturity to respond to a situation in the way that will provide more harmony, that will provide true actualization, true communication, true devoted communication. So it brought these things alive for myself so that I can nourish myself even deeper. Because realistically, I don't want to live half-heartedly. I don't want to be letting something slide. So thank you, conflict, for showing me a place where I was rough on my edges. I wasn't paying attention completely, that illuminated heavenly light, and then allowing myself to dance with that energy. I mean, yes, I got stressed and worried for a moment, but I also got to see the reflection of support and through my partner, and I got to see practical solutions, and I got to see the long-term goal of, well, this needs to get fixed. It's a foundational truth in my life. Every situation, every conflicting situation is that reminder for myself. It's that mirror. How am I living my life? Am I living in this particular dynamic half-heartedly? Am I saying yes when I really mean no? Am I saying no when really my heart needs to follow this current? We have to have care. Diplomacy has this great care. It doesn't cause more harm. It doesn't cause more conflict. It's emotionally mature enough to respond in a way to speak at the right time, to pause at the right time, to give a hug at the right time, to give some healthy space at the right time. But all of this emerges not from the fear-based constricted, when we look at the entropy key, manic or depressive. It's not from that repressive reactive state. It's from freshness right here in this moment. What is most beneficial right in this moment? And the devotion to that provides this diplomatic peace that can just emanate through the space. And this isn't just through our words and our actions, it's our very being, it's our very aura. How are we responding from that fear-based constriction or that anger-based projection? You know, when I sit with people that I feel who are at peace and at ease, I know that my body has that same ability to relax a little bit. You're not trying to pierce me. You don't need something out of me. Even if there's a logistic we need to handle, that level of peace and ease is so harmonious for the situation, because the true yang emerges from relaxation. The true masculinear, we need to fix this problem, doesn't emerge from this manic, depressive, oh God, I'm overwhelmed, or quick, do everything we can now. I mean, of course, in emergencies and situations, we need to respond quickly, perhaps, to a situation that's occurring. But even then, can it come from that deep pause, that deep trust, that deep ease? I mean, this is a challenge I ask and invite myself every day. Can I respond to life's challenges from a place of ease, from a place of really listening and committing to that moment? Because peace is the energy here that we're describing, that we're calling in, the city that we can invoke and drink in that light of peace. And that's a lofty goal for our world peace, even just inner peace. There's so much that's churning, that wants to distract us, that wants to call our attention away from the moment, to create that peace from the false yang, or the helplessness that will never be out of conflict. But peace is the beauty of devotion. The beauty of what it means to commit so deeply, to full-heartedly giving yourself to the moment. In some capacity, no matter what it is, whatever sensation I'm feeling is a reminder of the universe, is a doorway for me to discover peace even amidst turbulence, compassion even amidst conflict. This is how these two keys of compassion and peace are constantly working on the higher planes for our highest harmonic, bliss. And here on the human plane, we have to practice diplomacy and humanity. We're all making mistakes. We're all learning and growing. So instead of responding to this turbulent, conflicted place with all my wounding, with all that, I hated the way that you said that to me, I don't ever trust you again, this fear that puts the power into another person's hands, that they will be able to destroy your happiness, your peace, and all that energy that we invest into that conflict. This is an important principle for me on a daily level, to really be in that warriorship and that creativity of responding to life's challenges, life's conflicts, with the freshness, that creative essence, and a devotion, a heart-centered presence to exactly what is occurring and what it is becoming. This is the ring of alchemy. This is one of these keys that we've been working with through union and through alchemy, of understanding how the waters between us are working, the intelligence of the waters in our relationships, in order to transmute with imagination and diplomacy, great care, to see these conflicts be opportunities for us to discover what has been hidden. There is great gold being hidden in these conflicted feelings and emotions. And it's not just catharsis, it's not just being angry for anger's sake. Like we talked about in the transmutation key, eating this experience, and then being able to communicate very clearly to this experience, to this moment, to bring its highest benefit. It's not always beneficial to share everything we're feeling to another. It's good to check in. I've been working with some beautiful, my friends Antia and Russell and all these different techniques of really tuning in with someone. May I share something with you? Maybe it's an appreciation, or maybe it's a great conflict. Maybe it's something that's really been challenging. Tuning in with that person and asking for permission to really be and share in that present moment experience. Maybe it's not the right time. or maybe that question cues that other person in to actually say, oh, hold on, yeah, I can be open right now. Because we can be more generous with our presence, more generous with our ability to be present exactly with what is occurring. It doesn't mean being apathetic and live in and sucking away the martyr syndrome of just giving away all our time, all our energy. But loving presence is a profound generosity to it. Can I really just be open to receive, wow, something I did really impacted you in that way, it really hurt you. And I can start to acknowledge where that might be true, even if it wasn't my intention, even if there were circumstances that created that. It's all just story. We really just need to hear one another again. We really need to be real and actually see that these decisions that we're making as consumers in the plastic industry is impacting the waters of the earth. As roommates, that the loud noises and the way that I leave the bathroom is going to impact my other roommates. It's a human experience. Humanity and compassion are intricately linked with diplomacy and peace. So creating communication in our everyday life, communicating with my flooding basement, communicating with people where maybe there's charge, maybe there's something that needs to be resolved, maybe it just needs to be spoken to or sung to or hugged out, whatever it is. Can I be committed to the freshness of the moment, to allow exactly what is most beneficial to emerge, and be witness to the beauty of my own devotion to life, my own devotion to love, my own devotion to the way that the currents of life are guiding me in a symphony way beyond my own comprehension. And can I call in, can I invoke, I choose to invoke at peace, even amidst the turbulence. So thank you for drinking in this heaven and water, GK6, hexagram 6. May your days be filled with peace, not as the absence of conflict, but as the beauty of what happens when we devote, when we commit deeper into the love of the moment that is always here holding us. Many blessings.